What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Dead Noise. I'm Chris, and thanks to the power of Zoom, I am here with the California hard rock band ALPHAMEGA. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
How you doing?
Thanks.
So far, so good. So right off the bat, it's been about 2 months since the release of your debut album, Regeneration Machine. How's the reception been so far, and how does it feel to just have the album out for everybody to hear?
It feels good to have it finally out and that people can hear it and enjoy it. It's been a different process. I'll start real quick. It's been a different process that I've ever gone through with putting out singles and having to do it that way. Usually it's always just been like an album's come out and then that's it. This way we've had all this material for, a year or so, and we've been slowly like putting it out. And so to finally have them all out, it feels like finally it's done, like, all right, let's do some touring on it and like, let's start writing again. What's next, kind of a thing. So it is good to have it out. And the perception to me, I feel it's been a lot of online, a lot of great things being said. And we're super happy with the way that it's going.
Yeah, I think like what Chris was saying, what we were able to do for a year is steadily release singles, and we were able to sort of get an idea of whether or not even releasing a full length was going to be worth it. But the reception of everything has been slowly growing, and like people have been really positive with it. At that point, we were pretty happy to be able to finally get an album out, and then for the additional songs that hadn't been released when the full album was put together. Most of the things that I've read and what I've heard from people is that the album like feels complete now with all of these songs, and it's just a pretty solid listen from start to finish. So that's a good compliment when you release an album that there's no stinkers on it, I guess. So at least from what we've heard so far. So we're very appreciative of that. It's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, it's a really solid album, and I'm not just saying that as a kiss ass because I'm a fan. I genuinely think it flows really well. And a couple months ago, I talked to a local level independent band, Echo Stone, and they have just been steadily releasing singles. And you guys kind of took that approach for a long time. I kind of hopped on the train with the release of No Longer Broken, but you guys kind of hit the scene with, if I remember correctly, Lords of the Flies was the first one, and then you had
Right.
Mirrors and
It was Fading Light, and those are deep
that
cuts
one.
because they they were up for a short period of time. Lord's still up there, but the other two, and the other ones, those have since come down. I think you might be able to find it in a couple different places, but Lords is the only one of like that batch. We did like 3 songs at that point, and decided of those 3, like Lords was the one to push, and that was in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So,
How did you decide which songs made the album and which songs didn't?
We did 2 batches of work, and we took a few from each batch of work that we did, and put it all together. So we still have at least 3 more that might come out on a deluxe edition soon. Maybe we'll see what happens.
wink.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. But so anyways, we do have some other songs. We just felt like, all right, 13 songs might be a little bit too much for a listener these days to put out. So we didn't want to do any more than that. But then also too, it's like we had released quite a few of those already. And so adding the other few to that bunch, it was like, all right, the album's come out, at least here's a treat for people that have already heard these other songs. And how we went through and picked the songs, I'd say we just went with what felt right at the time, what made it feel like conclusive, like the actual record. I mean, and there's some other great songs that we had, and it's like we did want to put them all on there, but we just thought it might be too long for people for their attention span.
that's pretty much, you know, that's pretty much it. Like, we all know that COVID hit at some point, so we had pretty much an album's worth of songs already written, and then COVID hit, and so we weren't going to release anything, and we weren't going to tour, we weren't going to do anything because the whole world shut down. So during that time, we signed with a label, and then they wanted us to go to their studio and basically record a whole nother album's worth of songs. So by the time the world started opening up again, which is when we released No Longer Broken, I mean, we were sitting on basically 26 songs because we had 2 albums worth of stuff. So we basically had to make the decision of those songs, which ones stood out to us at that moment that flowed with what we did with the label's songs and what we did from the original songs, and which ones went together the best to start releasing that strategy of what was going to be where. So yeah, there's still plenty of songs that haven't been released in the arsenal, and some of those, you know, like Chris was saying, there's going to be a couple more that'll be released on a special edition of the album that's going to come out, and then there may be ones from that first body that never see the light of day. There's very cool songs on there, and I think just as musicians, you know, we're looking forward to writing new music as well, because we sat on 26 songs for so long that we were kind of getting complacent, like, oh, we've got a bunch of songs for a while, we can just focus on strategizing, getting these out and getting out material. And now it's kind of come to the point where, you know, we're starting, I've been starting to write again on my own to get the wheels turning, and sending, you know, just little acoustic demos to everybody and stuff, just to get the wheels turning again, because in the downtime, we've got to stay busy with stuff that makes us a band, and that's the music. So we've got to keep going with that.
So when does the deluxe edition come out?
Well, we've heard that it is maybe going to be coming out in like August or September. So I would say a fall release, just to be safe. We are no longer on the label that we were on, and we've parted amicably. It was, you know, there's no bad blood or anything like that. It's just the label is going in a different direction with all of their music and all their focus and things like that, and we're off to do our own thing. But contractually, there's an obligation for them to release this special edition, and without them, we wouldn't be where we are today. So shout out to them, because this, you know, this band is where it is today because of them. So, you know, but everything's cool. We're just no longer there. So now we just have to work out with them when this thing's going to come out, but it will come out. So we'll just find out when.
And format wise, is it going to be available on CD? Because I'm a physical media person.
Sure.
And
it'll definitely have a physical format of some kind, you know.
Okay.
I think for the collectors that are out there right now, I mean, the CD would be great. I personally would love it to be like a vinyl, you know, because a cool like deluxe vinyl would be awesome. A lot of people like to collect that, but I think it's a safe bet that it will be a CD, you know, just so we have some physical media, but obviously it'll be out there streaming digitally too. But yeah, I would say a safer bet is going to be a CD at first. So
a physical product is always good, especially when we're on the road, because when you're out there at the merch booth, people want that. People want to pick up the CD. It's like, yeah, it's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, but it's not sold in the stores anywhere. And so sometimes I feel that when people come to a show, they can't go to Best Buy anymore because Best Buys are all closing down. They can't go get a CD available and, you know, anywhere except for Target, and they have a selection of Spanish or like Mariah Carey and stuff like that. There's barely anything. So it's like when they come there, I think it's more of a treat for people because they can't get their hands on it anywhere else. And so I would, you know, it could be, it'll be CDs for sure. And who knows, we might even do a batch where we make enough records to take out with us on tour as well. But for sure, there will be physical product. That's all I was going to say. Adam said it already, but there you go.
It's good to get a second confirmation.
Yeah.
Now,
so that I have an echo and like a different register of voice. You know what I mean?
Or get like an anger translator or something like
Right,
that.
yeah, exactly.
Now musically, as far as songwriting goes, how collaborative is the writing process for you guys? Like, Adam, do you stick to writing lyrics and vocal melodies, and then Chrissy, you stick on drum patterns? Or do you guys just kind of do it all together at one time?
I think it's very collaborative. Different people will bring in the initial pieces at first to get the ball rolling, you know? But then the one thing that we always wanted to make sure about this band was that there wasn't just like, I'm the dude and everybody else just know your role. You know what I mean? Like this band is 100% a democracy and collaborative, and ideas, whether they're good, bad, or whatever, all ideas are heard, they're tested, they're at least attempted. So yeah, I think it's very collaborative. I don't think there's just like, no, Chrissy can only tell us what to do on the drums, and you know what I mean? Like they're like Chris, I mean, you our song Annihilator, that was literally, wasn't that you like just humming that guitar part with your mouth? What was the song that you did where you did that, where you were doing the guitar part?
That was Late to the Party that Mike got. That, yeah, Late to the Party. That's the beginning riff. We wanted a party song, you know what I'm saying? So I was just like, down, yeah, down. I did
was that what it was? I thought it was Annihilator, but it's Late to the Party.
Well,
okay.
Annihilator was like something where I was just like, I want to write something a little bit faster, in the sense like kind of just weird. So I was just on the way to Mike's house, and we were going to go do like drum programming to like write, you know, just some music together. Anyways, I was like, let me sit down at the computer. And so I just started writing, and I was just beating. Mike lives about an hour from me. So the whole way I was just had the music off in my car. And I was just thinking, I was beating on my steering wheel, doing whatever, you know, just air drumming and traffic and shit, you know. And anyways, so it was just like, and I felt like I wanted like that that's in that Annihilator at the beginning, in the intro.
That's what I'm saying. Like you were doing a drum beat vocally with like some tone to it, and then you know what I mean? So it's like you essentially wrote that guitar part as well as the drum part to kick that song off. That's all I'm saying, is like you have ideas that besides drums, everybody has a collaborative voice in this, you know? So
yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned Late to the Party, because that's one of my favorite songs from the album. Were there any songs in particular that when you got finished writing them, you kind of all had this moment of like, whoa, we actually made that?
I think for the two for me that were like stand out in the studio when we were recording a certain batch of work was a No Longer Broken. When you heard that song, it was just like, wow, there's something here. Like, this is fucking crazy, right? And then also Late to the Party, that chorus, it was like when fucking Adam came down and he didn't say anything. He's like, oh, I got some ideas. And he jumps in the vocal booth, and then he gets to the fucking chorus, and it comes out. Did it have to be tonight when everything was going right? You know, like, and everybody was just like, whoa. It was the studio just like erupted, like, this is fucking badass. Those are my two.
Those probably, and almost for the same reasons, not that I'm like, yeah, my chorus is the shit, guys, but like, I think No Longer Broken was a song that like started from we came down, we went to the studio with like seven skeletons of songs already. No Longer Broken wasn't even a twinkle in the eye yet. And we got through recording these skeletons down there, and then everybody kind of looked around and were like, hey, okay, let's build a song from scratch here now. Does anybody have any ideas? And we're kind of going around the room, and Mike, our guitar player, first of all, shout out to Mike.
Shout out to Mike.
Yeah, Michael Christian, who can't be here right now. They're here in spirit. So anyway, he is like, well, I've got this little like delay thing that I've had, and I don't know what to do with it. And it's literally, he pulls it out, and it's literally it's that little riff that starts out No Longer Broken in guitar form, basically. And as soon as I heard it, I was just like, we're working on that. Like, let's just use that. Like, let's figure something with that. Like, there was just something about it where I was just, I almost heard, even though I was not really a big part of the music development of that particular song, I heard the song already being what it is now, like in that moment. And I was just like, we've got to work on this little thing right here. And so it was not, once the parts started coming out of, like, collaboratively with Mike and working with, our friend, Josh Gilbert, who was down there with us with some of the writing and stuff like that. Like, they clicked, and that song came out of just that little thing, which was a recorded note on his phone, and so that was really cool to just, because once that song was at the point where now it's time to put lyrics over the top of that, like, I was just like, this chorus is gonna hit with what I just need to make sure that I'm writing about something that I really care about right now, and like it was the right time for that song to be written. So,
And another one of my favorites from the album is To Be Human. It's hard to say what stands out from an album, because especially yours, because each song has a different vibe to it. But that song in particular really stands out to me because of how multi-layered it is sonically. Like, the beginning sounds nothing like the end, and I love that. What was making that song like, and what does that song mean to you guys individually?
Man, that song, I just want to throw this out. That song was in the first batch of music we did a long time ago before COVID hit. And so it's going to take me a second to remember my mindset where that was. I think it was a lot more of Mike, and I think Josh Booma was kind of came up with like the heavier part on that. The producer, I think. I'm not exact. I can't remember. So Adam, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. So To Be Human initially was a song that I brought to the table as an acoustic guitar arrangement, right? So most of the stuff that I bring to the table to these guys is written on an acoustic at first. So at that time, we had the little bit of whatever I had recorded, and then there, obviously it needs to be tweaked to make it into a hard rock song or to give it the edge and stuff that it needs. And we were working with our friend Josh Buma, who's a great producer, and he and Mike just kind of started putting the pieces together. It follows the same root note melody lines that I had written for the verses and things like that, and it's just all the layers basically were added to it, and they did a really great job of building it from that electronic sounding thing from the beginning, and then building it to what it is. To Be Human, for me lyrically, it's probably one of my favorite songs on the album too, just because it's really taking a look at like the culture of people that do the very least, and just like it's making situations that should be about other people about them, and it touches a little bit more on like everybody's a hero at a keyboard. Everybody can sit there and say that, oh, I feel your pain and blah 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 and all this stuff, but it's like, how many people actually put their money where their mouth is and go out and help somebody, or actually really honestly give a shit about any of the little like thoughts and prayers that they put on people's stuff. It's just like, I think it's just this like knee-jerk reaction to just say something in the moment, and you know what I mean. And there's a lot of people out there that do the real work and show some actual caring and understanding. But To Be Human, like it's just the person that song is directed to, whoever they are, is the person that does just enough to seem like they're a human being, you know what I mean? And that's really what it's about,
I want to ask about the artwork, because every time I get to talk to a band about a specific album, I love to hear about the artwork, because there's always something behind it. There's always a meaning. And from a design perspective, it's always cool to hear that point of view. Um, but I also want to ask, do you guys have the same artist for each cover, like the singles as well as the album? Because I noticed the style is a little consistent. So I was wondering if it was made by the same person.
Uh, the album cover was made by a different was made differently than all of the rest of the stuff was. So um, when it comes down to like the single artwork, sometimes it's Mike, our guitar player, actually, who does pretty good work with like graphic arts and graphic designs. I mean, he can do a lot of cool stuff with his phone. So, yeah, so like we've leaned on technology a little bit in a pinch when the wallet is tight for certain things, and we've used, what is that, Fiverr to like do, help design logos and other stuff like that. But the album cover itself is done by a friend of ours named Adrian Biacco, and she crushes it. I mean, as far as like all sorts of media, film, graphic design, all that kind of stuff. So we sort of threw her a prototype design of what we were thinking that the image on that cover should look like, and then she made one completely from scratch and made it her own, and then we went back and forth tweaking little things that we wanted. But yeah, ultimately what you see there, 100% designed by a human being. And her name is Adrian Biacco, and she rocks, and she did a great job, because I think that the album cover is pretty contrasting from normal like heavy hard rock stuff, where it's pretty bright and it pops and there's a lot of color. It's not just a skull with black in the background. So we kind of wanted to go in something that instantly like visually grabs you too when you see it. So
what I like about it too, it's like some people put up online, they put a square picture that you post on Instagram, and it's got like it's got 12 albums on it across, being like, oh, these albums came out this weekend. Well, when I look at it, it's like ours on there always pops the most, because it's probably white also, but it's just looks so clean, and it just stands out, compared to like, other ones that they, put with it. So it looks really good. It's solid. It's clean looking.
Now, Adam, I have a question for you specifically.
sure.
Vocally, who would you say are your biggest influences?
Let's see. Well, I would say that growing up, it was Dave Grohl all the way. And then now, when I did the turn in like the early 2000s to like the type of music that I really enjoy, which is like, melodic Swedish metal, like Bjorn from Soilwork, Anders from In Flames, Ryan Clark from Demon Hunter. Those three, I think, are some pretty outstanding vocalists that have the ability that I try to do anyway, which is blending the clean with the heavy and still keeping melody and the aggressive stuff. I learned a lot from listening to those bands and trying to figure out how to do it with my own voice without destroying myself. And I think those three are probably my top ones. I'm also a big fan of like Lejon from Seven Dust, and I like Ben from Breaking Benjamin, and I like I forget his name all the time, but I'm a big Seether fan too, so I like his vocals. I just like I like singers that have the ability to sing and still have some grit in their voice, and then be able to go off the rails too, and be able to pull it off. You don't need two vocalists to be able to pull that off. I think it's a real talent to be able to do both of those things, and those singers that I mentioned, I think, are able to do that kind of stuff really well. So those are the guys I think I look up to the most.
Has anybody ever told you that your cleans sound a little bit like Jerry Only from the Misfits, or am I the only person that thinks that?
No, I've heard it before. Have you ever written to us on any like on any social media platform saying that? Because maybe that's where I've heard it, but I have heard it. I have heard it before. I'll take it as a compliment. They're an awesome, iconic band, and I just went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and I saw his shit in the glass case. You know what I mean? It's a pretty
Oh yeah.
badass face and outfit and stuff. So yeah, I'll take it.
That was the first thing I noticed when I first heard Pariah. That was the first name that came into mind. I was like, I wonder if I'm the only person that thinks that. Am I crazy?
Oh,
Um,
okay, yeah, yeah. I've heard it before, and then like I said, I've read it before too. So I'm like, oh, did you ever write us some at some point saying that? But no, I think I've heard it before, so I'll take it.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, on the live front, you guys just recently got off tour with Halocene and Lauren Babick. What was that tour like, touring with those musicians?
It was awesome.
A man of many words at the moment.
Yeah. It was really good. We're definitely grateful for the opportunity, and they were all amazing to be like share the stage with. Um, Lauren and Addie have some absolutely great voices. Like it's
Killer voices. I mean,
yeah,
that stuff is 100% live, and like like Addie's range is nuts for like her clean stuff, and then just Lauren's got a great voice too, clean, and obviously her growls and her aggressive stuff are pretty awesome. So and all around the other guys in the band, Gerard and Corey and Brad, like they're all great musicians, and we didn't know them going into the tour, and you never know how people are going to get along when you get into a situation where nobody knows each other. But I mean, I think we made some great friendships on this tour, and they were really easy to get along to. I mean, being the opener, you literally have one job, not to go over your time. And so everything runs smoothly, and second job is to get the crowd ready for Halocene. And, I think they appreciated what we did for them on the tour, and we appreciate what they did for us by giving us the opportunity to be on the tour. So it was really good. They're great people.
What was your reaction like when you got the offer from them? Were you guys already familiar with their material beforehand?
I wasn't like too familiar with their material, but I had seen them on TikTok and on social media platforms and stuff like that. So, but other than that, though, I hadn't heard any original stuff. I think after I listened to Maleficent, that one had just come out before we started touring with them,
Mhm.
and but then I went through their catalog and I listened to a lot of the covers that they had. I found a lot of covers online, and they were all just absolutely bangers. Like they were super good. So I familiarized myself with them before we hit the road with them. So
Hmm.
We found out on tour that we have the same manager, but we didn't know that going into it. So I had followed some bands that were like associated somehow with like the label we were on. They weren't on the same label as us, but we had the same manager. We didn't know, but so I'd been like following the same thing, just seeing their like TikTok videos of their covers and all this kind of stuff. So I didn't know what to expect playing what type of a band they really were outside of them doing a lot of their cover songs, which they do a great job. I just didn't know what else they did. So we got a message from our manager saying, hey, this band Halocene, they're looking for an opener. I'm going to present you guys and I'll let you know what they say. And then they ended up, giving us the tour based off of, they liked what we later found out after we all were at our manager's house in Nashville, because we went through it on this tour. We were just like, so how did this all happen? Nobody knew that you managed us both. And he's like, well, I kind of did that deliberately because I didn't want you guys to get on this tour because I'm your manager and I'm their manager. He's like, I wanted them to not know that. So you guys were selected based off of who you guys are and your music and that type of stuff. So when I found out, I was actually kind of pretty stoked about that, because then like we got selected because of the music and the people that we are, and not because somebody's just like, well, I'm your manager, just go tour with them, you know? So it was cool to not just have something like that happen, where it was actually a choice made based on face value at that point, you know? So
How long was that stretch? Was it 3 weeks?
it was,
Yeah.
yeah, 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
15 shows, something like that. Was it 15 shows? 13
Well,
shows?
yeah. Well, we did a few
We
on the
did
way.
a few lead ups. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it was about 3 weeks or so. And I think it was 16 shows total, because with Halocene, it ended up being 13 shows.
Right. We did the 3 before getting us out there. So
Yeah, an added show got on, or a show got added on the 16th at the end of the tour. So it ended up being 13. So yeah, and then 3 before. So it was like 16 shows.
Now, on a stretch like that, how do you guys ensure that you're not completely exhausted halfway through? Like for your voice, for example, how do you make sure that you're on point each and every night like that? Do you have a certain routine, or does that just come naturally for you?
yeah, I have a routine, and I also have things that I just do not do, which is I don't party on the road. I don't drink. Um, I will sacrifice any spare change that I have to make sure that like we get decent sleep at some place at least halfway comfortable, so I can rest properly, because I sleep like shit in a van and all that kind of stuff. So a big part of like my voice is being able to give it rest when it's done. And so I have this thing which is called a nebulizer. It's by this company called Vocal Mist, and what it is a literal portable humidifier for your throat. So I can puff on that thing like a you know, for like asthma. It looks like something for asthma, but it's putting like a saline mist into the back of my throat, and it helps keep my vocal cords wet all the time. And
Hmm.
so it's like I'm puffing on that as much as possible before I play, during the set, after the set, just to it really helps so my vocal cords don't get raspy and fatigued, and then it's just getting a bunch of rest, and then just not acting like an idiot. Like I've done so many tours before where I've just gone off the rails and drank every night, just because that seemed to be the mood of everybody, was just hanging out and all this kind of stuff. And it's just like I've had to discipline myself as I've gotten older to just be like, no, dude, you're out there to sound good every night, and to get fans, and you know, not embarrass yourself and not embarrass your friends and your bandmates and everything else. So it's staying clean and staying as well rested as possible. That's my routine.
What's yours, Chrissy?
I mean, yeah, definitely the rest. Yeah, I'm on the same page in the sense of I used to go hard at partying, like real hard. I'd end up naked places and shit like that. And it was always, you know, good time. But these days, no, I don't do any of that anymore, just because, especially how we were traveling this time too, is, you know, in a smaller area, and there's not like we don't have bunks on this tour to where it's everybody gets their own little space or anything like that. So yeah, just rest, no drinking, not acting the fool, and try not to talk as much while you're in the club while other music is playing. Talking over people like this really kills your voice.
When other bands are playing, it seems to be the time that people want to ask you the most questions, and I'm just like, you got to give me a second to like not have to try to talk over all of these people. You know, it's like everybody wants to talk to everybody in the band. Like as a singer, like people want to talk to the singer a lot too. And and I do, and I really do, because it's important to me, because I'm there, because when people care about something that means so much to me, I want to talk to people about it, you know. But at some point, like I do have to just shut up and say very little, you know. So I don't want people to think like that's me being an asshole. It's just like I've got to preserve my instrument, you know, because I care about giving people everything that I have every single night more than screwing it up to be like, do you know how to play the guitar? It's like, yeah, I do. I do know how to play the guitar. Thanks for making me shout that over 200 decibels. So.
Oh my gosh. See, like I go to a lot of local shows and I never talk during another band's set, and I see a lot of fans go to the opening band's tables between sets, but then they end up catching them right as the next band is going on. I hate talking when there's a bunch of loud music going on because I can't talk very loud. I'm pretty soft spoken.
It's so distracting and like rude a little bit too, where it's like I'm here to listen to this music. I can't hear you right now anyway. Like they'll end and then we can have a conversation. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I hear you.
It's like even when the house music on the speakers is too loud, I probably won't even say anything because I just don't want to
Right.
project that much.
Yeah.
But being able to meet people at your tables across the tour, what was the reception from Halocene's fan base like to you guys?
It was great. I mean, I'll put it this way: a lot of people did come up to us and ask to take pictures with us. So I feel that's a great reception, and us seeing those pictures up online, saying, "Wow, like we'd never heard of this band. It's like they were awesome, and like we turned their heads in that sense." So I feel that we got to play in front of a great amount of people every evening. We made a lot of new fans. I would say that we've all talked about this. I mean, the reception was great. We feel that it was absolutely 100% great.
Yeah, it was an awesome fan base to get in front of because it was a very diverse mix, I think, of heavy of music listeners in general, but we're also a little bit of a different taste in the heavy realm, and so it was cool to have people that I love when people come up to the table after a show and just say, I've never heard of you before, but like I'm never gonna forget you. Like you guys are awesome. You have a new fan. Like hearing that a bunch of times during the night, and just getting the sense that everybody really liked it. Like these crowds were fired up every night, ready to go. That's always awesome, and like our reception every night was very positive. So it was a great tour for gaining new fans, that's for sure.
And is there any update from the studio side or the road side that fans can be expecting anytime soon from you guys?
Well, without going too deep into anything, we're always working on something. And so as long as another COVID doesn't hit, I think we will be getting back out on the road sooner than later. And we just have to have a couple things fall into place as they need to, and we should be back out there in no time. We want to be out there. We're a live band. We want to be on the road as much as possible, doing what we love. The more that we're not doing that, the worse of a person I become towards everybody that I know. So, if you don't need me to Hulk out and start ripping things apart, figuratively, not actually for real. I'm not a violent person. But I get angry when I'm not being able to expel that energy that's inside on the stage, which is where I let it go. So
we have arrived to my favorite part of every interview, and that is the speed round. So,
Uh-oh.
Yeah, right. I've got 10
I
questions.
told you we're living clean, man. No speed.
I got 10 questions. It's kind of meant to be a rapid fire, but you can elaborate as much or as little as you want. First question, your favorite song to play live?
Sound of Your Excuse.
Sound of Your Excuse.
Favorite city to play in?
Not Los Angeles.
Anywhere but LA.
Okay, so favorite spot to play in, I would say for me, rapid question, Seattle.
I'm going to go off the favorite city that we played on the Halocene tour, which was Columbus.
The band, artist, or song that made you want to become a musician.
Nirvana.
Foo Fighters.
The one band or musician that you want to collaborate with the most.
Demon Hunter for me.
Oh God. In life, Marilyn Manson. I'd love to do something with him, with us. Who knows? I don't know, but that's just the person. It might not fit our band, but it could. Who knows?
Favorite tour memory.
Getting naked. Just kidding. Let's see. We playing on the stage with these guys every evening.
Yeah, I think for the serious, I'll do a serious one. Yeah, playing every night in front of all the people that we did with the people that we played with. On a silly note, favorite tour memory was sharing a ghost pepper chicken wing with Brad from Halocene on this last tour and realizing that it was no freaking joke. And it was hot and it lasted forever and we regretted it instantly. So
Did anybody get that on video by any chance?
Yeah, somebody did. They had to have because they're very social media conscious, and so I'm sure somebody had their camera rolling at that point. I have yet to see the video, but I could probably hit them up and be like, "Hey, did anybody capture that?" But I'm sure somebody did. So it's out. It's on somebody's phone somewhere, whether it was put up in that moment or not. Somebody's got it somewhere. So
I know they were on disposable cameras. They had disposable film cameras that they did for their VIPs, where they had like 9 or 10 that people would order, and so they would go around and take pictures with these, and then they would send a camera to each VIP person that ordered it. So every camera was different with random stuff on it. I know it's going to be on somebody's camera that for the VIP, because for the regular film, but it should be on on somebody's phone too. I just had to throw that in there.
That's good to know.
I didn't even know that, and I was on a tour. I didn't know that people got disposable cameras.
Yeah.
I never saw that once. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, vinyl's making a comeback, so are Polaroids.
Hey, that's right. Hey, all that old media, you know.
Next question, your most embarrassing moment on stage.
I got it.
Oh God. Oh man.
The very end of this last tour. The prank that Halocene did on me was awesome. Chris, do you want to say yours before whatever your embarrassing moment is, or do you want me to finish the story and then you can say it? So do I have time to say it? I know this is a lightning round, but do you want me to elaborate on it, or do you want me to
Please do. Please do.
So this is a great prank. So very last the second to last show, anyway, we were playing in Jacksonville, and it started out with the sound guy that his name's Jeff, who came along, tour managed, great guy, was just like, hey guys, can you guys start like 15 minutes later than normal every night, like clockwork, 8 o'clock. All of a sudden this show was a little different, but I didn't think anything of it. He was just like, we want to let more people kind of filter in and whatever else. So I didn't think anything of it. So I'm like, okay, fine. So we get started, we start playing, and it was on, I believe, late to the party that my microphone that I was using started to cut in and out. Like I could tell that like it wasn't working, and I'm like, oh, what the hell? What's going on? You know? And then Jeff is like, oh, dude, what's up with your mic? He's the sound guy. He's like, oh, what's up with your mic and all this other kind of stuff. I couldn't figure it out. Well, he takes the microphone, and I'm singing to the crowd with nothing. And I get the microphone back, and the microphone now at this point has a dildo on it. And I look to the side of the stage, and all of Halocene's camp, everybody over there is dying laughing. They're all armed with sex toys, and they're running up on stage. They slap a big wobbly one on top of Chris's cymbal, and it starts spinning around towards him because it's so heavy that the weight of it brings it back towards Chris's face. I get a pink feather boa put around me while I'm singing, and I finish the rest of the song. Mike gets a ball gag put in his mouth,
Oh
and
my
so
God.
After Halocene is up there. So we're finishing the song with all of this chaos going on, and there's this big flopper hanging off of my off of my microphone, and I finish the song and everybody cheers, and then Brad's like, all right, he's like, here, he handed me, Brad from Halocene hands me one of their mics, and he's like, this one will probably work better. And so to just add the little bit of salt to the wound on that one, I start singing To Be Human of all songs with this microphone that I had to have thought in my head, like, oh, something's going to happen with this. Well, I start singing To Be Human, and he has it through his like board, and it sounds like Alvin and the Chipmunks. So I'm like singing, and it's like, and I'm just like, oh my, I could hear it. And I was just like, well, I'm going to do this song in this voice because I don't have another microphone. So eventually he switched it back with my old mic that was now de-dildoed. And, um, and I finished the rest of the set. But I mean, it was a pretty, and the reason, and let me get back, and the reason that they pushed it 15 minutes was that they were still at the sex shop store buying the stuff, and they didn't want to be late to do the prank on us. So they called Jeff and they're like, hey, make them start like 15 minutes later so we can actually get back here with all this stuff. So
Oh my
anyway,
gosh.
that was super embarrassing, but ultimately very funny. So that's my answer to embarrassing moment for sure.
Was that the same one for you, Chrissy?
Yep, that's perfect. That works out great.
Oh my gosh. That's probably the best thing I've heard from any interview. Oh my God. Oh, your next question. Your dream tour lineup.
In no particular order, they would just be on the bill and then we'd figure it out. I would do Seven Dust. I would do In Flames, Soilwork, Demon Hunter, Breaking Benjamin, and that would probably be it for me. I think that would be a lineup of just for me. That's it. That's what I would do. But I don't know what order. But those would be the bands that would be on it. So
For me, like Slipknot, In Flames, and let's see, Avenged Sevenfold.
Those are both super solid. A place you haven't performed yet that you really want to.
Japan.
ooh, yeah, that's a good one. I've done less outside of the United States touring than Chrissy has. So I think I want to go to Australia. I've never done any shows in Australia. I think that would be first on my list before anywhere else. And like the UK and getting over to Europe and doing that. So those would be mine.
Your favorite thing to do outside of music?
Go to theme parks.
I like traveling and I like going not necessarily discovering new places. I like going to specific places, especially when I just need like time to recharge batteries and stuff like that. So I have a family cabin on a lake in northern Wisconsin that's like my favorite place in the world. And it's like I like traveling there and just doing all the things involved with that, which is like, it sounds outdoorsy, but it's like I like chopping wood there, and I like making sure that the yard is clean and sitting on a boat and going out on the lake and just kind of doing outdoor chill kind of stuff like that. So I think that that's probably where I'm the most at home.
And the last question, my favorite one, the song you wrote that means the most to you.
Off of Regeneration Machine, I'm going to say The War.
I do reference The War a lot with Adam, like seeing into the future and stuff. For some reason, it's like we always talk about stuff like, dang it, don't we wish like we can see a little bit more into the future? That one's just got that feel, like that. But I'll try and pick another one that means God, this is the lightning round. So let me go ahead and take my time. I mean, I'd probably say like No Longer Broken's just got the strongest meaning to me, you know, like, I mean, it's probably, of course, everybody thinks like, oh, he's going to say that one, but yeah, it's probably No Longer Broken.
I mean, that's a solid one. So, I mean,
Yeah.
can't fault you for that. That was the speed round, and that was everything I had for you guys. Was there any closing message to any ALPHAMEGA fans watching?
Thank you for being a fan. If you're listening to this and you've never heard of us before, and you take that extra step to go check us out, thank you very much. Hope we can meet you someday and talk to you and shoot us your ideas and how you feel about the music and the band and everything in general. And thank you for listening to us today. And we're looking forward to getting back out on the road and continuing to do what we do. And we hope that you'll all be there when we do it.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for the time. I've had a blast talking with the two of you, and I can't wait to see you live one day, whenever that may be. Um, to anybody watching this interview, thank you for watching. Until the next one, stay tuned, stay scared, and I'll catch you later.
Thank you.